He looks hot.
Oh boy, he's hot.
He's very hot.
Hot.
It's because of Texas, though. Texas is
calls
also
for
hot.
Yeah.
That's why he blows that hot fire on,
Yeah.
on the COVID-19.
Who are the 5
Whoever
greatest
did that
rappers
remix
of all
is good.
time?
Well, he kind of talks in a cadence.
Dylon,
He made
Dylon,
it.
Dylon, and Dylon because he spits hot fire.
Hello,
Connecting.
peepees.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello, K Show.
How are you?
We're
It's
good.
good to
How are
see you.
You too.
We haven't seen you in so long.
I know.
It's weird.
So, did you just say peepees?
Yeah.
Can you tell everyone why you call us that?
Well, for the longest time, I thought that's what you guys called each other. More so, I think Parker to Chris. I thought your nickname for Chris was PP. And didn't realize for the longest time that you were saying BB. So I just went with it one day and said, hey, PP Chris. And I remember your reaction, Chris. You were like, did you just call me PP?
I was happy.
Was that when we were staying with you in LA?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we call each other Beepy, which goes back to the time Parker won free BB King tickets. And then there was a guy who was in the audience for the BB King concert who every time BB King took a break and didn't feel like talking or playing, he would scream, Beepy!
It was every time that he took a solo, but it would be mostly in the moments where BB King wasn't playing any notes whatsoever. Like it was the build up and the suspense, like right before he played that first note.
Yeah.
Which, if you know BB King solos, he's notorious for like hitting one note and then being like, yeah, I hit that note. And then just like waits a few minutes before he hits the next one. And like his guitar playing is really, really simple, but the build up to each note in the solo, this guy's like, beep, beep. And he's a couple rows in front of us, just screaming as loud as he can. And then we've never been able to forget it. So that's our
we thought that'd be a good thing to call each other. We thought that'd be a lot of fun. So like we'd be at shows and then Parker would be like on this side of the stage setting up and I'd have to like talk to like sound guy or something like that. And I see him over there and I'd be like, oh, that's a question for Parker. Beep, beep. And they'd be like, oh man, my bud's calling me. Hold on.
Yeah. So I think that part of the problem is that we over pronunciate the consonants in BB when we say it because of how that guy yelled it every time. So
right.
it definitely sounds like PP if you pronounce it hard enough.
I think PP's good. I think it's a
Chris?
great nick. Yeah.
Well,
Did you
yeah,
notice
with
that's
Chris?
Chris's name on here right now.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It should be. In
It
all
is.
the the liner notes going forward, we should just say PP Chris.
Parker and PP Chris.
Kevbot 3000 and PP Chris.
Yeah.
Those are our names now.
Or PP Chris LLC, next
We've
company
had
name.
we've had them legally changed.
Oh
That's
my
why
God,
they
I
show
just
up on our taxes.
So I was watching Pretty Woman yesterday, which I hadn't seen in a long time. And that limo that he drives around is like an old school limo. And I was thinking that when people are doing limo services, they're usually using newer limos, right? So you should be able to buy the older limos, right? Which I haven't really seen for sale, but I'm sure you could buy like a 1998 or like a 2007 old limo for not that much money. I would love to just drive people around in that. Like, although when I'm home here and other people have shows, I'd be like, dude, do you want Chad? You have a show. You want me to roll up and drop you off? So like make a big scene about it. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
That would be hilarious. But then you have to oh my gosh, what's his name? The actor in Pretty Woman.
I don't know, Richard Gere?
Yes,
Gere?
Richard Gere. You're gonna have to pop out of the sunroof every time with a rose in your mouth and
And
like
an umbrella?
present the passenger.
I think he would have done that regardless.
I would love to do that. I could be dressed as
that's
Andrew
a very
WK
BB Chris
too.
thing to do.
Mhm.
That would be a lot of fun.
Roll up to the party city and start singing Andrew WK.
Well, like every show, I would with at least local ones, I could roll up with Parker in the back, drive him around. You and Parker in the back, sure. And I'll be like driving up too, and then I'm actually like in the band too, but I'm just like chauffeuring it just for fun, just to roll up in this old limo. I've seen a couple on Craigslist. That's really cool.
You mentioned something interesting, which made me have this idea of what if you started like the Andrew WK limo service. Because you have, Andrew W. Chris limo service.
What about?
Because you have that
PP.W. Chris.
PP.W. Chris.
PP Chris WK. That's a little weird. I can figure out something.
I think makes.
I agree though. I agree, and that would be an awesome idea. That'd be a lot of fun.
Well, that we could, because we had this idea a while ago to start, and we actually did throw an event called Andrew W. Karaoke. And
That's awesome.
we had this idea of going on tour, but then in addition to the actual shows that we were playing, finding just open mic karaoke's and showing up dressed as Andrew WK and doing an Andrew W karaoke tour.
Only sing Andrew WK songs.
Yeah. So we go there and we force them to play songs that are not on their karaoke machine, and then we just do that. And then we might sing some other songs, but just only all the songs you sing, basically as if Andrew WK is singing them. And we've not done it yet. Chris has gone to karaoke's like that before, or at least one or two.
Yeah,
so
I've done a couple nights.
Once we knew that it was tested and that it worked, we were like, okay, I think we can do this. We just never really had the time to actually plan it out and make it happen.
I don't know if people like
when you're
it.
on the road, you don't have a lot of downtime, but
on days off, we had a bunch on this last tour.
We just like.
We could have done one in Arizona. Could have done one in California.
We should have done it in Phoenix.
Texas. We could have had a day in Dallas. I'm sure in that area there would have been a ton of places doing karaoke.
Well, if I hadn't been like deathly ill in Dallas, I would have.
Yeah,
been all about
we won't do it when you're deathly ill.
That'll be the only exception.
I'd rather be alive.
We're gonna do it not when you're dead.
Yeah.
Okay, K-Show. Let's talk more about K-Show.
Oh yeah, we have to first introduce K-Show, whose real name is Kimberly Schon.
That's me.
She is our manager, which maybe you can talk a little bit about why that is, and how we met and that sort of thing. But tell us a little bit about. I mean, we know about it, but tell anybody who watches this, which is like 5 people. What got you into the industry? Sort of like your introduction into what you do, and then who you've worked with, kind of the highlights along the way.
Sure. Yeah, it's a good question. If you would have asked 15-year-old Kim if I would be doing what I do today, she would teenage Kim definitely wanted to work in the music industry, but had no idea how any of it worked. I just listened to records and begged my sister to take me to shows and wanted to see as much live music as possible. So throughout going to school and learning a little bit more about the music industry, I used to think record labels pretty much did everything. If you were a band or an artist, once you got signed to a record label, like that was it. They just kind of handle everything, and you go do, make the records, you play the shows.
I think that's a lot of people's initial thought about record labels, especially back in the day when we were younger, it's just starting to play music or starting bands, thinking like, hey, if you get signed, that's the deal, then everything's good.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that idea of like, we're gonna get signed and then it's all gonna take off, and that's when you really sort of made it in the music industry. So then, having interned at a couple record labels when I was in college, I'd interned at Virgin and Sony and a couple of what back then were the big four. And I learned the process of how it goes from like the artist writing music and going to the studio and delivering those songs to the record label, and then what eventually turns into the marketing campaign to release that music to the fans. But also through that process, I learned that there was managers that helped run the ship with how's the band getting in the studio? What studio? What instruments do they need? What kind of artwork? Like helping pull a lot of the creative stuff out through personal conversations with the band members and helping liaise that stuff with the record label, and really just working together as a team to deliver the best possible package based on what the artist envisioned for the specific record or the song, or what that specific release was. And then once that was all set in motion, the natural cycle of a band is, release some radio songs, release a record, and go on tour and play for your fans. Well, who books the shows? I was like, the record label must book the shows. They do not. They do a lot, but there was someone called a booking agent that I learned about. And
you know all about those.
You know all about the booking agents. My favorite booking agent is Steve Lahane.
He's our favorite agent too.
Wish you could keep being our booking agent, but didn't work out.
Unfortunately, he was driven out of the business.
Yeah.
Due to scandal.
Yeah. It was scandalous. Yeah.
So yeah, by the time I sort of sifted through these internships at these record labels, I learned, okay, there's managers, there's agents, there's product managers, there's attorneys, there's publishing, there's all these different areas of the industry that all work together to help make an artist's career successful. So by the time I had graduated, I realized where I felt my personality and where I fit in the most was that direct relationship with the artist and helping, steer the ship with, how to move forward with their business and get things done. I mean, to put it simply, just like helping figure out a way to get things done. And, if you're not an artist or a band with a lot of relationships in the music industry, it's a lot harder to get things done, because where do you start? Who picks up the other end of the phone call, if they don't know who you are?
Right.
So I found myself working in artist management and worked mostly in the heavy metal space for the last 10 years, but I've always been a fan of alternative music, pop music, hip hop, I mean, really everything. And so I wanted to expand more into that. And that's what sort of led to our conversations a little over a year ago. We met through Chad Nicefield of Wilson, also my partner.
Daddy Daddy.
Daddy.
Our dad.
Rock Dad.
Rock Dad, fellow Detroiter. And yeah, I remember going to that coffee shop in Detroit the first time we met up, and we're like, let's talk about music. What are you guys doing?
I have to interject there, though, because that's actually not the first time that we met.
We met at Port the first time.
The first time I met you, Chris, I don't think you were there, but I was bartending in Ferndale, and I met you when you were out with Chad and I think Ray and some other mutual friends of all of ours. And it was a very brief introduction just because it was a busy night at the bar. And at that time, I knew nothing about you, didn't know who you were, what you did, what line of work you were in. And then it wasn't until we recorded Phantom Limb with Steve at Rust Belt, and I was talking to, on a different day, I was bartending. Chad and Ray came up, and they were talking about the new Wilson video for Dump Truck that they were about to put out. And then we were talking about what Messenger Birds had just done in the studio. And then he's like, yeah, send me, if you've got like a SoundCloud link or something, send it to me. And and let me know, because we were talking to some like weird video ideas that I had, and because they had done the Good Years video. So I sent that to him, and then he called me 24 hours later and was like, hey, can I send this to people that I know? And I was like, yeah, why not? I don't care. You can send it to whoever you want. And he was like, he didn't tell me who he was sending to, but he's just like, yeah, I'm going to send it to some people I know in the industry and whatever. One of them was you. And then he was like, yeah, so this is who Kimberly Schon is. You met her at Port, and this is what she does. This is who she works with. This is the company she works for, so on and so forth. And he was like, I showed her Phantom Limb and she loved it. And I don't know, maybe you can take it from there, because I only know my side of the story.
Yeah. It's funny because like I was saying, I listen to so many different types of music, and Chad has a pretty good radar in terms of what he thinks I might like. And when you had sent him some of the music and he's like, I want to play you something, and he played it for me, I was like, oh my God, what is this? And I remember we listened to it several times, and then I similarly was I guess it's funny, like envisioning your side of that conversation and my side of the conversation, because I was so excited for him to go back and tell you guys that I love this song, and I was like, oh, I wonder what they're gonna think. I hope they are okay with me reaching out. And then it sort of took off from there, right? Like we emailed a couple times about it.
Yeah, because what happened was Chad came back to me and said, hey, I showed it to Kim. She loves the song. She is super interested in what you guys are doing. And is it cool if I like forward your email stuff? Or like, would it be cool if I'd sent you, I think he sent me your email and was like, here, I'm going to intro you guys, and then you can take it from there. So yeah, from there it was a quick introduction, and then we planned out. You were coming to Detroit whenever that was, and we met up at that coffee shop, and we talked the band, we talked business, we talked ideas, and then just hung out a little bit, and then we moved on to batch brewing after that.
Yep.
Because the coffee shop was closing. It had the wrong hours
as soon
listed.
as we got there, pretty much.
I got there first and walked in, and the guy was like, hey, we're about to close in like 2 minutes. And I was like, what? Your hours don't say that. And so then he was like, I can still make you a coffee. And I was like, I kind of feel bad like sitting here waiting for people to show up and not having something. So I just ordered a coffee anyway. And we ended up, like, as soon as both of you got there, I was like, yep, so we're going to have to move this over to batch.
Yeah. We're going to move this over to some beer tasting.
Oh, yeah. And then Chad joined us. Out. And yeah, that's pretty much the rest is history.
Yeah. No, it's been a wild ride of putting out some fun songs and doing some cool stuff together. And now here we are in self-quarantine for 2020.
Yeah, halting all future plans for an undetermined amount of time.
Yeah, are you hearing more things over on your end, K-Show, about like, are people even thinking about booking tours or shows or festivals?
It's been really interesting. I just did a panel about this, about touring specifically, and what those conversations look like right now. Because I think that when this news first started coming out, it was like, okay, April, May, or definitely, March, April, May, that time period didn't seem like any shows were going to happen. Right. But by June or July, everyone would be back out on the road. So, you probably saw the influx of tour postponements that went from March, April, that were now rebooked for June, July. And now June, July is not happening. Right. I've seen a lot of tours that were supposed to get reannounced or were supposed to go out in that time frame, get pulled down. And now everyone's kind of looking at things in a different angle, where it's like, okay, obviously, like, the world news, like where it is now versus where it was 2 months ago, is so drastically different that it's really hard to pinpoint a time frame where we can definitely say shows are going to be okay.
Right.
And, you know, any sort of gatherings at all. And in the conversation I was having with some promoters and booking agents, you know, they're just trying to figure it out along with everyone else.
Yeah, it's
you know,
like, what do you do when there's no set in stone time period that anybody can definitively say this is when it's going to be okay to go back and do things the way that they were. You know, there's no code to follow. There's no right or wrong way, other than just business as usual would be the wrong way, of course, to go about it. And
I think
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think it's a lot more difficult for festivals right now because they have to make those calls so much earlier than, you know, let's say a 500 cap club show,
right,
because of the amount of vendors and lead time that it takes to set those sites up and contracts that are in place.
Conversation with a friend of ours, Jesse, and because he works in a club around here, and he's in a band, and we've done a lot of shows with him, and just talking about the logistics of, you know, what it might look like as touring and shows start getting reintroduced. And it's the toughest part is that all that stuff takes so much lead time to put all the pieces in place. It's not just a matter of we've got this show booked and people are going to show up. It's all the promotion, all the assets that go with that, all the ticket sales. There's a million things that go along with booking a tour, announcing it, having the actual show, or the festival, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think what we'll end up seeing is, you know, assuming that the October-November timeframe ends up being the first sort of safe time frame for shows to pick back up again. I think we'll see everyone sort of easing back into it in much smaller rooms, and with a lot more restrictions. And I'm curious to see what that looks like, because, you know, let's say you have 1,000 cap room, but you're restricting it to 250 people or 500 people, you know, whatever is appropriate and safe at the time. You know, what does that look like inside? Like, how do you, like, just how do you regulate all of that, even if it's a smaller capacity inside? I think that's part of the puzzle that everyone's trying to figure out right now, what that, you know, looks like. I think there's we know there's obviously the fan aspect too, where I'm sure you're seeing the news about ticket refunds and, you know, fans trying to understand if they're going to be able to use their ticket for a postponed show that's now been postponed 2 different times and now is indefinitely postponed until sometime in 2021, which gives them really should give them the right to get a refund on their ticket. And then what does the spending power look like in the fall? I mean, this is a situation that's financially impacting everyone. And I think, you know, if you're a fan that already spent $30 on a ticket a couple months ago and you can move forward and use that ticket in the future, you're still going to go to the show. Yeah. But if you're going up with a new tour, you know, we all have to be mindful that a lot of people aren't going to have an extra $30 to spend on a concert ticket. And so I think those, you know, weekly ticket wraps for a lot of tours during a time when we're going to see every venue and every artist trying to make up for lost shows is just going to create a lot of traffic. And I think the fall is going to be really hard.
I think this was a thought that I had, just when you think about bands that are, you know, arena size acts that were on like an album cycle and they were doing heavy touring around the world. You know, what does that look like for them coming back? Not just like the small bands, and thinking about some of those bands doing going from 15,000 capacity arenas down to like playing a 200 cap room just so that they can go on the road. I wondered how much we're going to see of that, or how creative people are going to get with changing things up like that.
Yeah, I think we'll see some of the historically larger acts do more intimate shows. I think that it'll, for a lot of people, will go in with that mentality because it'll be a safer play. You're providing a special experience for the fan that historically didn't really, or hasn't existed in a long time.
Right.
Where you get to go see your favorite band in a smaller room.
Yeah.
What that means for the ticket price, I don't know. Like, does everyone charge more for that? Do you charge less because it's a smaller room? I think there's a lot of factors.
I mean, I think it'd be insane for like Billie Eilish to play the Pike Room and sell tickets for $100 a ticket and have 200 kids in there. But
you put it to scale too, a 20,000 capacity room for $50 a ticket, and then you take it down to a 200 capacity room that makes it like a $500 ticket.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And, not a lot of people are going to be in a position to pay that kind of money for any show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let alone $50.
Yeah.
I mean, I even before all of this, I would look at a show that had a $50 ticket and really be like, do I want to see it that bad, or can I just wait?
Nobody has $500 to spend on a ticket.
No.
Yeah.
Except for Jeff Bezos.
He could buy a lot of people tickets.
You can go to a lot of concerts.
You won't do it.
I asked him. He won't do it.
I emailed Jeff Bezos and I said, Dad, will you give me some money? And he didn't even respond.
He said, sure, son, as soon as you get a job. It's like, but there's a pandemic right now. I'm temporarily laid off.
I thought Steve was your dad.
Steve's also my dad. Yep. Parker's
Okay.
also my dad.
Got it.
And you're my mom.
I
love
our
that.
Mom. Band mom.
Hey, kids.
Yeah. You make sure we stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
And get to bed on time.
I don't know. I feel like you guys were up late last night partying on a Saturday night.
Last night?
Yeah.
I told you, I watched Pretty Woman. That made me sleepy.
Made for a wild night there, PP Chris.
Whew, it was wild.
What else have
And
you guys
Brady.
been doing in your quarantine?
Well, I think probably the most exciting thing is just starting to do these podcast episodes, because it's the most frequently we've been able to talk to our friends, and especially ones that we don't get to see, not only because of being isolated where we are, but people like you who live across the country that we rarely see anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
it's
think
made more
that's been
people
fun.
available. It's nice.
And we've been trying to we haven't spent as much time working on new music as we have other things, just because we're really focused on putting the video for Play Dead together and getting that release out, and then all the things that go with that, the press, the interviews, and then Chris and I are both working somewhat still. Like, neither of us are fully laid off, but we're underemployed as opposed to unemployed.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, really, it's been a lot of Netflix.
Oh yeah,
A lot
of that.
a lot of sitting around and trying to convince myself not to eat snacks.
I had to talk with myself this morning about my last night snacking. There was a big box of Cheez-Its that was full, and now it's gone. And
Wait,
nobody
which
knows
kind of
what happened
Cheez-Its?
to it.
Was it the regular Cheez-Its, or do you get like the duos? I love the duos.
I got extra toasty.
Oh, I haven't had
Ooh.
those. I like the.
They're
Have you
burnt.
had the?
They're the
there's two different
burnt
kinds.
ones.
Yeah, they are.
They're the what?
They're burnt.
Oh yeah.
It's so weird because usually people are like, that's burnt, like that's ruined. But with Cheez-Its, it's like a whole craze. Some people only like the toasty ones.
Well, you could just take
the toasty ones.
You could just take a box of them and burn them yourself.
Sure. I don't know if I would be able to do that personally, me, but I think a lot of people would be able to do that.
Because you don't know how to operate an oven.
Because I don't know how to burn things the right way. I'm not sure. I've been roasting a lot of things in the oven. Actually, I might be good at it. That was
What
a
have
new
you been
thing.
roasting?
Vegetables, just every vegetable. I put on a pan and put it in the oven for about a half hour,
Yeah.
and
Do you put
it
oil?
tastes so good. Yeah, olive
Oil,
oil,
salt, pepper.
exactly.
That's all you
Nice.
need.
Olive oil, salt, pepper, and everything. Mostly Brussels sprouts. With those used to make me icky. I thought they were gross.
I love Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
I do too now.
That makes me really miss One-Eyed Betty's Brussels
Ooh.
sprouts.
Yeah, they had good ones.
Those are the best.
Kim, what are you able to do in LA with the quarantine?
Not a whole lot. I mean, still doing as much as I can on a daily basis with work stuff. I mean, it's been interesting to transition over to everything pretty much being on the Zoom platform, and it's nice to be on video calls with like, for example, booking agents and various people that I've worked with over the years that I've never had this much FaceTime with. And this is how we're doing our meetings now. So that's been fun. Aside from that, I mean, really just trying to safely distance and stay inside as much as possible. I mean, there's not a whole lot of super fun stuff going on. We're getting back into board games and doing a deep dive on Netflix stuff that we haven't seen.
Okay.
But I've been taking up a lot more cooking too. I love cooking, and now I've just like gone down this deep rabbit hole of, I'll pick out some sort of protein or, I don't know, like the other night I picked tofu and I was like, what can I make with tofu? And I came up with a recipe that
what can you make with tofu? It's like Play-Doh. You could make it into anything, right?
So I learned all of this the other day. I had a package
Chris, you
of
should
tofu.
do a mini series of what you can cook with Play-Doh. Like what dinner recipes you can do with Play-Doh.
And eat it every time to try it. Because I think it's non-toxic. I think it's totally good to eat. It's not good for you. And it
can't be great for you,
stay inside your body for a
kill
year.
You, like, why not?
Oh, that'd be awesome. That's a good idea. I'm going to write that down real quick.
There you go.
Another spin-off web series, PP Chris Eats Play-Doh.
PP Chris Eats Play-Doh. PP Chris takes you to the show as Andrew WK in his really old limo that probably doesn't drive very far.
And then you have to do roasting with PP Chris.
Every time you take somebody out somewhere.
What does PP Chris know how to do in the oven? Not a lot. Let's try Cheez-Its.
What if your whole thing with the PP.W Chris Limo Service was that you pick somebody up and then halfway to wherever they're going, you have to call AAA and AAA takes you inside the limo.
They have to tow me. So everybody gets towed in a limo to the show.
Yeah, my limo doesn't work, but AAA can take us inside of the limo. They let us stay in the limo.
Just put a line item in the contract, like $50 tow fee from AAA.
They do what,
Why
200
is this
miles
so
free?
Expensive? Oh, it's the AAA fee.
So my car breaks down 5 miles away from the show. So AAA does me 5 miles each time. You get 200 miles free. That's like 40 trips that I get to do for free. That's good.
Yeah,
it's a lot of trips. I don't even think 40 people need to go to shows.
Not right now. They don't. This is a great time to start that.
Yeah.
If you can find a limo to buy. Who's selling those? I don't know.
What food?
We're all going to do a deep dive after this into like 1980s limos.
Well, I've seen some for sale on Craigslist that I don't know about cheap, but they're not like crazy expensive. You could get.
Are you looking at that as like an alternative to our tour van?
Yeah, it'll hold everything. Let's put a hitch on a limo. Well, I was just thinking about it because I feel like they refresh the limos a lot because you don't want to. They're not driving around an old limo. It's all about the luxury, isn't it? And same with hearses. So if you can get one of those things, you could probably get it because a lot of people aren't buying them, I don't think. And they're not being used that much. So it might actually be a good deal. They're not very convenient, but I'm not about any convenience really. What food can you make Play-Doh out of?
I like that now we're just watching Chris write down a list of ideas.
We're going to see multiple channels get launched for Chris's new career.
Numbers will go slowly down.
The views go up, and then all of a sudden they start to decrease.
This is
Why
depressing.
are the views going down?
-6, -12.
How are they taking away views?
And then taste test.
I
Do
think
they
we
sell Play-Doh at the? Well, I mean, you could go to Target, I guess. They probably sell Play-Doh.
Yeah, I bet you they have it at Walmart and Meijer too.
you should test all the different Play-Dohs from the different stores.
See if they taste
All the
different.
different flavors.
Does
Yeah.
blue taste different from pink?
I
Shouldn't.
like the
Well-
red flavor.
Red does still taste like cherries. They say don't put any cherries in there.
What about the purple flavor? Does it taste like grapes?
What
Or does
color
it
is
taste
purple?
Like medicine.
Still tastes like medicine. Why does it taste like medicine? They don't put it in there. Keisho, have you seen the giant baby?
No.
No.
Oh, hold on. Hold on.
Are you
I-
easily nauseated?
Not really.
That's good.
Oh, geez. What's it going to be?
Hold on. I'm finding it.
If you don't know about it, you're gonna know about it.
You're about to know about it. Don't worry.
We got a little share screen feature. It takes a minute.
I'm just trying to. Yes, I want to report this ad to the internet. It's offensive to me.
I still can't stop watching the Puddle of Mud video.
Really?
Oh, there's
Yeah.
more that we found.
Wow. People are
Uh,
creative. And they don't have things to do
There's
Yeah.
almost
outside of
we
home.
found a funnier version of it that we'll share with you also. Okay, can you see this?
Oh, wow. Okay.
A giant baby is terrifying the internet.
That's a news article written
Yeah.
about a giant baby.
This is Paper Magazine, right?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
this is legit.
Chris, did you find out how old this baby is?
No. Let me see if I can do a little quick.
Okay, while you're looking for that, Chris texted me about this earlier and said, "Have you seen this? It's like trending on Twitter and TikTok." And I was like, "No, I have no idea what you're talking about." And so then I looked it up, and there are two videos. Here's the TikTok one.
Wanna dance, but she don't know how to. Woo. I'm iced out, ooh, looking like a star. Woo. I'm Steph.
Wait, hold on. Was
What?
Wanna dance, but she don't know how to. Woo.
there like
I'm
powder
iced
coming
out,
out of the
ooh, looking like a star. Woo. Her name is Jenny. Woo. I'm
I
Steph.
just noticed that.
What?
Oh my god.
Wait.
Here's some more action.
Here's the next one.
You can say you hate me, you can call me crazy, but don't touch my truck. You can say you hate me, you can call me crazy, but don't touch my truck.
That's it. Just keeps replaying on a loop.
Nice.
It's just enough to see the big baby in action. So this thing says, this is from insider.com, another article about the big baby. And apparently he's 3 years old. So
Whoa.
he's not as young as he looks.
Okay.
And the
It's still
face.
pretty big.
It's very
Um,
big for
okay.
a 3-year-old still.
Have you seen the Reading Rainbow one?
No.
You know what Reading Rainbow is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna pull this up too because this is almost funnier to me than the actual thing. It's kind of like a Shreds video. You know Beach Boy Shred?
Yeah.
We had to have shown that to you.
Mhm.
didn't
You
see it
did.
by
Beach
yourself.
Boy
Good.
Shreds is one of the greatest videos to ever exist on YouTube.
It's too good. This is the same style, I would say.
Yeah.
Is it the
Um,
singer of Puddle of Mud doing Reading Rainbow?
No.
Something like that.
I wish it was, but it's not. But
It's not
Here.
that either.
it is. Hold on. Okay. Puddle of Mud, Reading Rainbow.
43 seconds.
Yeah, it's
Not
very
gonna
short.
not gonna ruin your life. Only 4.
But I'm
pie in the sky. You can go twice as high. Take your life, it's in a bring, reading rainbow. I can go anywhere. Blazing to go, leaning rainbow, reading rainbow.
There you go.
That's it. Oh, no.
Again.
Again. Show it
See,
again.
that's exactly how he would sing it, but we can't
That's-
tell if that's really him or not, you know?
Yeah.
That's amazing. You're right. I think I like that even better than the first video.
It's just like the first video is too real, and that one you know that it's supposed to be a joke, so it's funnier. Especially
Yeah.
because it kind of matches up with the faces and what he's doing, and the crappy guitar rendition makes it that much funnier.
So good. So good.
So we have him doing not a great Nirvana cover. Should we talk about how awesome Post Malone's cover concert was?
Oh yeah, did you see that?
Do you watch that, K-Show?
I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about it.
Yeah,
it's worth at least listening to if you want to throw it on
even
while you're
if you
doing
listen
something
to like
else.
the first couple songs, like
Yeah.
you'll get the idea. But I saw something pop up on the internet about it, and I, just for the sake of like coming back to it and kind of saving it, I sent it to Chris. I was like, hey, I haven't watched this yet, but I'm saving it for later, and thought that it was gonna be like bad. I thought I was gonna hate it and that I was gonna laugh at it, and then I watched it and I was like, I gotta hand it to you. This was great. Like he nailed it.
Dude, Chris Novoselic gave his hat off to it too.
Yeah, I think Courtney Love did too.
She
Nice.
did. Yeah. Yeah, I saw a bunch of people posting about it and raving about how great it was.
I wouldn't have
Yeah.
watched it if Parker didn't say, dude, it was actually sick. So I was like,
Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah.
check it
Because
out now.
my whole
I wasn't gonna
reason for
waste my
sending to you
time.
was like, I think this is gonna be bad, and, and then it wasn't. So I actually, though, I think that he was the best part of it. I mean, Travis Barker's Travis Barker. He's gonna play it how he's gonna play it.
Yeah, it was solid.
He's solid. I don't like the way he plays Nirvana songs as much as Dave Grohl.
No, it's different, man. It's just different.
Yeah, Travis Barker always finds a spot to throw in like one of his signature snare roll fills.
Oh yeah, of course.
And he doesn't quite hit as hard as Dave Grohl does, but
Yeah,
either
it's just
way,
different.
the cover set was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. So many people do Nirvana covers because they're like the coolest, most popular band. Is that like safe to say? If somebody's like, what's the most popular band that's also like the coolest? It's got to be them. Like nobody else is cooler than them that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever really met someone who has said out loud that they're not a Nirvana fan, no matter what they listen to.
Yeah, and I mean, there's kids that wear Nirvana shirts just because they sell them at Urban Outfitters, but
Yeah.
even still, I feel like eventually those kids are like, maybe I should actually listen to this band and know what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
Smells like Teen Spirit. That's all you need.
That sounds
Say no
so
more.
cool.
Say no more.
Yeah, I think what I was most like, I was nervous about the Post Malone one just because I had seen the collab he did with Ozzy Osbourne, and I thought it was so bad that I was like, if he does this to Nirvana songs, I'm gonna be so upset. And then I was really pleasantly surprised by what he did with it. I mean, he kept it as true as you possibly could to Kurt Cobain and no auto tune. He just did it as raw and real as possible. And I mean, it really looked like he prepared.
They had to have practiced a lot. And if you would have asked like a few months ago, who do you think could do a better Nirvana cover, Puddle of Mud or Post Malone? I probably would have picked
would have assumed
Puddle of
Puddle of
Mud.
Mud. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'll
Wrong.
give Puddle of Mud this. They've covered Nirvana songs in the past, and they've been fine.
Have you seen that?
When his voice is like normal, it has a little bit of a Kurt Cobainish vibe to it. Not like fully, it's a little more butt rock, but it's a very stark contrast to the puddle of mud that we saw in this one.
Yeah, I'm a big Post Malone fan. I love his music, and I definitely want to check it out because I don't think I've really seen him sing in a space where it wasn't his original music. I'd be curious to see how he is with just doing it raw and real and making it a true tribute to Nirvana.
And I don't know a lot of his, like I've heard, all of the popular stuff that's ever been on the radio and that kind of thing, but I don't think I've ever heard a song of his that I've noticed like no auto-tune on. You know what I mean? Like I know he does it on purpose and for effect, but I always assumed, because I didn't know any better, that it was just because he could not sing. And after seeing the Nirvana one, I take it back.
He definitely can. Yeah,
like he's not like a Billie Eilish, but he can sing some punk rock for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does he have any songs where he kind of sings like Nirvana? I'm not familiar with him too much. He doesn't do like a gritty rock Kurt Cobain voice, does he?
I don't think so.
No, it's all.
That's why it's kind of cool that he was. Yeah, it's like a big contrast.
Yeah, he's definitely the last person I would have expected to do a Nirvana cover set.
That's probably why he did it, though, right? Because it's like, dude, let me show off. Like, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what I do know of him is that he loves all that kind of music. Like he's super influenced by a huge range of different things, and I think that's true of most of the artists that are as big as he is.
Sure.
I mean, Billie Eilish is that way. Post Malone's that way. I mean, the two of us listen to pretty much everything aside from mainstream country. And,
yeah, totally. Kim's just talking about how she was like super into metal, and she was in the metal scene with her management, and then she's talking about being a big Post Malone fan. So I feel like you're the same too.
Like a lot of different things.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I listen to everything. I mean, my suggested listening goes from like Mumford and Sons to Diplo. So, yeah, it's cool though. I mean, discovering new music in general, no matter what genre it is always fun.
Every time we hear a name, like this last tour, Parker and I were putting on every name that we'd heard of that we didn't listen to the music yet. Because even though we didn't think we would be a fan of like Casey Musgraves, she's still good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still good to like listen and find out if you actually really like it or not for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think what's funny about like my own personal, like if you look at my Spotify and the things that are suggested on there, it's a lot of like indie folk kind of stuff. And then like we play a little more aggressive, like punk rock influenced music. And then I've been in super heavy metal bands and like noise bands and stuff in the past and listen to all that kind of stuff. And, a huge Converge fan, Every Time I Die, all that stuff. And, like you never can tell by looking at anybody or what their own music sounds like, what they like.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a mood for pretty much everything for me.
Yeah.
I went down a Tori Amos, Fiona Apple, Alanis Morissette hole the other night. For like 2 hours, I was watching their old music videos and listened to Alanis's new song. And then the new Fiona record came out a couple of days later.
Yep. We were just talking about the Fiona record and how great it is. I was going to say something because you mentioned something and it triggered a thought and now I lost it.
Oh, no.
Tori Amos, Alanis.
Alanis Morissette new song. This is, now that I think about it, it's not really related at all to any of that. But did you guys know that Kansas has a new song?
I only know because I saw it on the same all new rock playlist that we're on. And then Parker's like, dude, it's actually really sick. So I listened to it. just like Post Malone thing. I was like, it says it's sick. I got to listen to it.
I went, and just because every time, every kid I think that starts playing guitar or drums as like a teenager or a preteen ends up starting out with a lot of classic rock stuff, and you get into Led Zeppelin, you get into AC/DC, you get into Black Sabbath, and all that old school 70s music, and then you land in Carry On My Wayward Son, all that stuff with Kansas. And so I was looking at the All New Rock playlist because we had just added Play Dead on there, and I'm scrolling through the list just to see who else is on there, and the Strokes had some new songs on there, and I think at the time there was like A Day to Remember song on there and some other stuff, and then I saw Kansas, and I was like, Kansas, this can't be the same Kansas that does Carry On My Wayward Son.
The same Kansas.
And then I listened to it and I was like, hold on a second, I gotta like Google this and see what's going on with this. And I Googled it and it was like, yeah, Kansas put out a new song and they're going to be putting out a new record. And I texted Chris and I was like,
what?
Dude, Kansas put out a new song. And this is
I'll have to
before I
check it
listened to
out.
the whole thing. And then I texted him like 5 minutes later. I was like, dude, it's actually kind of sweet. Check it out.
I think when What You Want to Hear came out, that's when the Post Malone Ozzy song came out. And that's when I saw it too. I was like, Ozzy Osbourne is
that, wasn't it?
It was a different song. I mean, it was for Mac.
Have they done more than one song together? I thought they did one track with like a video.
They probably only did one. So when did that come out? Because that was like the same. It was on a playlist, and that's how I found it.
Oh,
on Spotify.
I feel like it was before that, but
it probably was months ago. Actually, it probably was back like maybe it was back in August. I don't really remember. Yeah. But when I found it the same way. It was on a playlist. It was on a playlist on Spotify, and I was like, Ozzy made new music. What the heck? I was like, oh, Post Malone's on it too. That doesn't make sense. I was like, was this great? And I didn't like it.
Yeah, I thought it was just garbage, but
it did really well.
It did. It did really well.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've had so many different musical influences over the years, like listen to so many different things, but I feel like I still listen to the same stuff I listened to when I was 13. Like all the same stuff that got me into guitar and playing music and writing music I still listen to all the same people. And I don't know, Chris, if you feel the same way, but like even like when we were going to all boys Catholic school together, I feel like there was a lot of the same stuff going on.
Yeah, we listened to a lot of classic rock then, and what's it called, Dragonforce.
Oh yes.
Oh dude, we used to like go to hockey games and like put on Dragonforce, and it was like kind of like a joke, but it also got us really pumped up. Yeah,
once it got us really pumped and we scored a bunch of goals and stuff, we're like, we got to do this every game now, because that's the only thing that can get us super pumped.
Yeah, we did it one time and we both played well, and then we were like, oh well, I guess this is like a good luck thing, so we have to do a superstition.
It's like your pregame ritual.
Yeah, we had a
Dragonforce.
Even if you're not superstitious, you're a little stitious.
Yeah, you're a little stitious. Turn on this light.
I don't know how much Catholic school has to do with any of that. Didn't you go to Catholic school, Keisho?
All girls Catholic school.
All girls.
You did?
All three of us went to Catholic school, Catholic high school, and all boys for us, all girls for you.
This is a good segue into our next thing. So I still love God and Jesus a lot. And I know somebody else who still loves God and Jesus a lot. Parker also knows.
Keisho, do you know
Don't
who
even have to say it.
Kenneth Copeland is?
I don't think so.
Okay, so you know like all the like televangelists like Joel Osteen and all those people?
Yeah.
Kenneth Copeland is probably the scariest one of them all, and looks like a gremlin, and I'm sure you've seen this guy, but he's absolutely nuts.
I'm gonna Google him.
I'm looking up his net worth right now.
I'm gonna pull up a video.
Okay, I'll wait for that.
Tell me if you've seen it. And then there's another video that kind of goes along with that.
I don't know if this will add to effect or not, but this man is worth $300 million.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He is a piece of human garbage. So here is
Is he
something
like
from,
yelling about everyone getting back in the churches right now?
No,
I don't remember exactly what his thing is, and we don't have to watch the whole thing. I think the beginning is mostly what you need to see, but there's just like a speech that he makes in like a video, like a live stream sermon kind of thing.
COVID-19! COVID-19! I blow the wind of God! The wind of God! On you. On you. You are destroyed forever. You are destroyed forever. And you'll never be back.
I think you also need to see the remix.
Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the Lord. COVID-19, 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 COVID-19. I blow the wind of God from the state of Washington to the state of Maine to Brownsville, Texas, and the tip of Florida. Today, we speak to this atmosphere. Today, burn this thing. This virus hates heat. You just burn this thing. Burn, burn. I call for a supernatural heat wave straight out of hell. Burn, burn. COVID-19, 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 COVID-19. I blow the wind of God. You don't do it. You don't do it. You don't do it. You get out of here now. Burn. You don't do it. You don't do it. You don't do it. You get out of here. Burn this thing. COVID-19. 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 I blow the wind of God. You are destroyed forever, and you'll never be back.
Do you think
He's
this
really
guy
intense.
knows how
This-
dumb he is, or that he has absolutely no idea?
I don't know if that matters to him as how he comes off because it's given him so much success.
Well, but what I mean to say is, like, do you think that he's fully aware that he's just like making stuff up and selling lies to everybody that
Yeah.
follow him, or is he like so wrapped up in his own thing that he believes his own crap?
I wonder that hard, man. I'm not sure. I can't say because
I've-
he could totally be into it and believe everything that he's saying is real because he kind of has a power vibe to him. But then he could just be giving everybody what they want and what he thinks they want.
Well, this is the same guy that like he owns like private jets. I think he bought a private jet from Tyler Perry. And there's a clip of him. I don't have it pulled up right now, but there's a clip of him where he's like being interrogated by some reporter, and she's like, she catches him off guard, and she's like, "Can you talk about, you know, the private jet that you bought?" And and he just like gets all up in her face and does that like weird like super mean look to the devil creepy smile. He's like the like gremlin thing. And it's just like, dude, what is wrong with you?
He seems like the opposite of like a person of God. He seems like the devil.
I feel like he's one of those people that, you know, you think, oh, okay, I'm going to go do this thing and convince people to give me money and, you know, feed them lies in return. And it starts off as like a Ponzi scheme that he's fully aware of, but
and then
I'm sure
over the years, like the dementia starts to set in and he forgets that it's actually a joke.
right. And like, you know, when you have a following of people who are believing these lies that you're saying, I think after time, like your brain just starts to work in a way where you start to believe what you're saying. And he's probably fully convinced now that, I don't know, I guess he has the power to
That could totally be true.
On viruses.
Blow the virus away, the one that's killing so many people.
Yeah.
He's 83 years old. I looked that up too. He doesn't look 83 to me.
No.
No.
He looks like he's gotten some work done.
Yeah.
That guy's insane.
All of these nuggets of information that I'm learning today.
Yeah, I'm surprised you have never seen this guy before. There's
He looks
he has
vaguely
a YouTube
familiar.
channel of all of his sermons, which I feel like I really want to deep dive on some of them just to find all the other crazy stuff he's ever said. But I feel like I'll do that for like a whole week and then just come out like a zombie.
Well, now one of those links you sent me, Parker, I don't know if it was my phone just being weird. I didn't see a place where you could see comments, and I didn't see likes or dislikes.
Oh, so he must have disabled it.
Right. I wanted to see some comments on that.
You know what probably happened is he probably, like before disabling it, probably got so much negativity on there.
Yeah, and you couldn't delete them all.
Kind of like how Tom and all of like the Your Mom's House followers just harass Garth Brooks all the time. Or they've like ruined his entire social media.
I'm sure he had to have been getting like so much negative feedback, and if you can disable comments, which I'm sure you can, because he has probably, I think it was somewhere around 1/5 of a million subscribers, but his other stuff went so much more viral that you're not going to get your crowd, and it would overpower it. There had to have been millions of people who are going to be tearing that apart.
Yeah, Jesus is taking the wheel on that one.
Oh yeah.
Oh Jesus. Let's see. What have we not talked about, Chris?
With K-Show? I'm not really sure. Is there anything else that's like new news from you, K-Show, that's like something you want to share out or like plug or anything like that?
Not anything to plug really, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how the music industry changes after all of this. I think it's really exposed how skewed income is for artists to live shows, and if that dynamic changes at all, because it's really sort of exposed what those income structures look like, and without the ability to tour and put on live events, it's really, I mean, we're seeing it every day, like how it's affecting not just the music industry, but just businesses across the country.
Oh yeah.
And I think what you guys are doing and coming up with this podcast and finding creative ways to stay in touch with each other and put something together for the fans is really smart, and a really great way to use the time, because I think that's what a lot of people are trying to figure out doing right now. There was like this like wave of like, okay, we can't do live shows, so what are we going to do? And I'm sure you saw how many people were trying to live stream, either from smaller like group settings or from their living rooms, and find ways to deliver content, which is great because the fans who are trapped at home really need ways to connect with their favorite artists right now too. And if there's a way to do that, I think it helps everybody out and feels like you're all in it together, which we are, but it's nice to just physically see that. So I think what you guys are doing is awesome. And
I mean,
thank you.
Our whole idea is essentially to whether each one is us being idiots together, and
gotta have
whoever comes on, there's that, and then there's also the part of it where we feel like we can kind of inform people on what's going on in the music industry, talking to people who have some ideas about it, who are connected in it, and just other ways to keep people updated on things they may not be aware of, and if we can have a good time while we're doing it, then that's all that really matters.
Yeah, we didn't see a lot of musicians making podcasts. I don't know why that is. I don't know if I haven't looked in the right place or if they're not there.
Yeah, I've been wondering the same thing. Like, I know that there's a handful of them, but I feel like all the good podcasts are from comedians, and there's not as many that are on the music side of things.
I know Joseph Arthur has one. They started up fairly recently. Other than that, I don't know if I could name another.
No, I couldn't. That's the thing, is I couldn't name you, whether there are or are not any. I couldn't name you what those podcasts are off the top of my head.
Oh, we always say tour stories too, K-Show. Do you have any appropriate ones to share?
Or any, like, just because
Or wow ones?
Just because you've been on the end of like a manager who has to hear about the crazy thing that happened to one of your artists. So is there any story that sticks out as something that is one of the crazier moments that you've like received a call or a text from one of the artists that you work with on the road?
There's been some crazy ones. I don't think I'm allowed to talk about most of them.
To be worried about honest.
That. I imagine that there's been a lot of crazy ones with Slipknot from the many years you worked with them. But
they're great. They make touring a lot of fun, and my time with them on the road was always filled with really fun tour stories. And it's a lot of like, not just with them, but with a lot of acts that I've worked with. It's like it's some of the antics that you would expect and you hope happens on the road with some of your favorite rock stars and bands. But then there's the other side of it that's like way more chill than you think it's going to be. Like, I don't know if you've seen that meme that's been popular for a while where it's like what fans think happens backstage at a rock show versus what's actually happening. And like,
I don't think I've seen it, but I could probably tell you exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, it's a good one.
They always have the
think
ones
that
too.
The green room is, all drugs and alcohol and partying, and when you look at a green room with us, we're like taking a nap on the couch, or like trying to eat an apple, or
trying to figure out how to eat an apple.
Trying to figure out how to eat this apple. I'm not sure how to do it the right way.
How do I do it?
Sending emails or like figuring out financial stuff. I mean, it's for us, especially because it's two of us, it's always like logistics.
Yeah.
And just downtime, because there's not downtime.
Yeah. I mean, those days go by fast, and I mean, those drives, and when you add it all together, it just, unless you've got a night off somewhere, it's pretty staggered between taking care of all the daily errands. Wish I could share some more tour stories.
There's not even like
I was hoping you had
that you could think of.
I know. I'm trying to think, like,
if nothing pops to your head, you might just be pounding too hard at the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to give it a think and come back to you guys.
Submit it or whatever. We want people to, if they have them, they think of them at home, to like
you can
email them
you
to
can
us,
send it
or
and we'll read it.
Yeah.
We'll do it in our best K-Show voice.
Yeah.
Perfect. Wait, can we get Puddle of Mud to sing the tour story?
Are they on camera?
Or we have Steve call in and read tour stories sent in by other people.
Yeah.
Now, like, it's a segment called Tour Stories with Steven.
Yeah, he'll dress up like you and stuff and try to like. He's a good method actor. He would play the part well.
Yeah, I think he would do it.
I'm surprised he hasn't broken into some sort of acting career or comedy career.
If I was a scout or an agent that was looking for the best actor in the world, as soon as I saw him, I'd swipe him immediately. I wouldn't let anybody else have him.
Absolutely no training. You're perfect.
You're meant to be on the screen, on the big one, for everybody to see. Give me all your voices.
To be seen, Steven.
You're going to
yell
play
so much. I find it so interesting.
You don't even say words half the time. What's going on? It's like all sounds.
I don't think I've ever heard what your normal voice sounds like.
I don't know if he has a normal voice.
He doesn't really. They're just all different moods of Steve.
It will forever be ingrained in my brain when he was using the Mopop nipple stickers as his all access pass.
Yeah.
Just like proudly flashing everyone.
I'm supposed to be here. He shows it off. You watched that episode with him on it, right? So you saw him. We had to tell everybody about that one.
Oh man.
Before I miss it, it says less than a minute. So I just want to say at this point, thank you for being a part of the podcast.
Yes, thank you so much.
If you are willing, we'd love to have you on again at some point. And we miss you. We love you. And hopefully we talk to you again soon.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. Love you guys. This is awesome.
Thank you, K Show. Love you.
It's a lot
Hope
of
you're
fun.
safe.
You too.
Love you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.